most of the time when I'm watching movies, I'm trying to just escape. I use movies just as a way to relax, you know? But there are other times where I'm trying to use it for, I guess, a nobler cause, right? Where I'm trying to use a movie to understand another culture or to identify with somebody that I wouldn't normally get the chance to identify with. And so I guess that's the kind of value that I got out of this movie. And that's why I think maybe it's worth reviewing right now.
Aren't you ashamed to pontificate like that?
It's a Korean film from 1980. And it doesn't really capture Korean culture so much as it captures Gangnam, which is a really famous neighborhood of Seoul. And Gangnam is kind of known as the rich neighborhood. It kind of takes the perspective of these three not so rich kids who've moved there from the rural parts of Korea. And they've gone in there to try and be a part of what's happening in Gangnam, all this money and all this prosperity. They want a piece of it. And they're not quite succeeding. In fact, life is just beating them up. And this movie is pretty much just these guys really suffering through difficult jobs, sometimes demeaning jobs, and then meeting up every now and then for a drink together and discussing everything that sucks, everything that's difficult, and these girls that they're into. It's really fun and exciting, and it has just this touch of social realism. And I've got to say, before I go any further, that this is kind of high praise for what is essentially a goofball, corny, romantic comedy. It's a silly movie. It's 100% over the top. For something that's this corny and this sentimental, it still has this kind of magical edge to it that's really charming and endearing. There's good filmmaking here. So like I said, there's the three main perspective characters. There's Chunshik, there's Dukbae, and there's Gilnam. I'm sorry for butchering those names. Of the three characters, I think Dukbae is my favorite. It's played by An Sung-ki, who's apparently a pretty famous Korean actor. He has this absolutely crazy romance with this rich girl who smashes into him with her car.
뭐야? 이 자식이 불난 집에 붙이질 않아 이게? 어메, 오 사람을 치시오.
Right from the get-go, it's super obvious that she's just using him to get back at her boyfriend. He likes her, he's taken in by her, and he just goes along for the ride. It's really exciting, and he just totally loses his agency. He's purely her plaything. She just uses him. To her, he's just this food delivery guy that she can do whatever she wants with. But it's really a whirlwind romance. And that's a pretty bad pun because there's always this wind. In one scene that's especially memorable, she takes Dukbae to this disco and she kind of drags him onto the dance floor. You know where the scene is going. It's kind of a stock scene. But the way that it plays out is just a little bit charming in a way that these scenes aren't normally charming. She drags him onto the dance floor while he's there trying to jam, trying to awkwardly dance to the music with her. He has this flashback to when he was a child and he remembers this dancer that visited his local village. The memory just possesses him and he goes nuts. Absolutely nuts on the dance floor. I don't know what it is about the scene, just if it's the traditional angle or if it's the performance, but something about it just is really charming in a way that these scenes are not normally charming. It's so enthusiastic and so extreme and shameless that it just charms your pants off. So I've attempted to learn a Korean phrase. 쌍두족이지만 그래도 좋아. Is that right? So one of the other characters is Chun-suk, and in his storyline, he kind of is relegated to a side character, and really the main character in this little part of the movie is Miss Yu, woman who works at the same parlor as he does. And there's this rich guy that comes in all the time. He's kind of really taken in by her, and he always has her massage his leg to help him relax, and he's a little bit creepy, but she goes along with it. She flirts back a little bit. But it kind of starts to turn a little bit dark, where she starts to lose her agency as well. This guy keeps wanting a little bit more from her, and he wants to go out to lunch with her, and she's always saying no to him. She's always saying no, but it kind of wears her down until her no's start to become yes. It's one of these awkward things where she's kind of going along with it because she's sort of getting something out of the situation, but she's really being coerced into it, and she's losing herself.
이 손이 이게 보배야. 마치 마술사 같거든.
So this Chun-suk guy, who's the perspective character, he's really painful to watch because you can tell how much he's really, really in love with her.
있어요! 있어요!
사랑해.
뭐라고?
And he's the guy watching all of this unfold.
초대해줄까?
So there's a lot of really fun and silly story elements to this, but I'm a film guy. I love to see people use the elements of film to really sell it, to make it more than just a good story, but to kick it up to that cinematic level. And this movie has so many of those kinds of things. And most importantly for me, there's never a scene that takes place in a boring location. Somehow the background involves you in the city because the background is so alive with what looks like real life going on, like in a construction yard where construction is still happening and there's this city literally coming to life in the background, or it's put on a hilltop in this weird metal structure where the wind just howls through. And the wind, you got to know that that's important because it's in the title. It feels like it informs so much of this movie. There's not just wind machines blowing and people's hair moving all the time, but it's the editing and the pacing of the movie. It feels as if it's moving at like 400 kilometers an hour all the time. It's never stopping. It makes it not just viscerally exciting, but it gives you a sense for what I was talking about earlier. The main characters are all working class people, and they all kind of lose their agency in some way to the whims of rich people. These people just have too much power, and these main characters that we identify with are just blown away by all of that stuff. So that's all I have to say about the movie. And I really think that there's an audience for this movie outside of Korea. There are people who are interested in this city and I guess certain aspects of this culture. And if that's you, if you feel that you're interested in this city, I really feel that this movie, it offers a snapshot of a time and place that feels really authentic. And it's exactly the kind of insight that's pretty hard to come by.
곱하기 5천만 분의 1